Hi guys, today I'm gonna start a new tutorial series on CodeMonkey's channel, and this would be related to creating a RESTful application using Nodejs, expressjs framework, and the Mongo database. And the particular application we're supposed to create here would be a simple to-do list. Well, this seems to be quite a useful application, well, at least for me. When I started my blogging on YouTube and also working as a web developer, well, basically a lot of things arise that I was actually starting to forget those, and hence the need of creating some sort of an application that would store the important things we're supposed to remember and do along the day. So things you would need to install on your particular system would be the Node.js backend server-side scripting. So this is basically the JavaScript interpreter here. It's available for all the various platforms, Linux, Windows, MacOS, doesn't matter really. Then we're supposed to use the Express framework for the backend to make things much easier, and also the Mongo database, which is also has to be installed on your system. Well, the Express would be installed using the Node package manager, which comes along with Node.js, while the Node.js and the Mongo database has to be installed themselves independently like that. Okay, so without further ado, I'd just like to start this series, and in this particular video we're supposed to create a database and interact with this a bit by hand in order to see what a particular functionality is supposed to be in our web application, and also we'll make the basic server and run it, and this would be probably it for this video, for the very first part. Okay, so if you didn't check my Mongo database interaction basics, then check the link in the description below the video in order to see how to set up the Mongo daemon or the server of the Mongo database. If that is not done, then basically the Mongo client that I'm supposed to run now won't really run, so please check that out. It's not the topic of this particular video. And now I'd like to see what databases are actually available at my machine right now. So here are quite a few. So the first thing we're supposed to do here is actually create a new database, and we're using the use command for this purpose, and let's call it to-do-list. So now we have our to-do list. So just to make it a bit more clear, show databases. Well, it's empty, so basically it's not really yet appeared here, so it would appear a bit later. I'll show this for sure. Okay, and it's supposed to have a very simple structure. So basically the task and the some sort of like description for this task basically, and you don't even need to create a collection manually. For Mongo database we do this for you automatically, and we can simply write database tasks, so that's the name of our collection, and insert. And now here is supposed to be the JSON data format like this. So we're gonna have a task over here, and here let's say add the very first entry. Let's say this would be get up at 5 AM. Okay, like this, and I just hit enter, and here is the result. Okay, so now let's try to add a couple more tasks to this particular database. So let's say do some morning routines. You know, it's really useful for your health, doing some Tai Chi in the morning, or maybe just another gym. Okay, morning routines. I personally do Tai Chi every morning and feel absolutely great after that. You should try this either. Okay, and now let's And the last one probably, well, maybe just, okay, let's just have a breakfast here. Have a breakfast. Okay, and the last one, actually, check up your email. Okay. Check up your email. And I would like actually to see the result, the entire kind of list of what we've got here. So for this purpose, we have to write database tasks. So we call our tasks collection, and now find method, and a little prettifier here in order to make it a bit more reasonable. Okay, so we have our objects here. So the first is actually to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then actually the second, do some morning routines, and then have a breakfast, and finally check up your email. So that's the first kind of thing we're supposed to do with our database from the web application we are going to write, is actually to add data to the database. And another thing would be actually the removing of some particular objects in this base, and the removing would be performed using the ID. And here, in order to remove one of these tasks, so say we have already done it, we're not supposed to use things like mark flag or something like that, so I'll try to keep this as simple as possible, just in order to show you the very gist of database interaction within the Node.js and Express framework, and using the mongoose hook for the Mongo database. So db the tasks dot remove, and now here we need to define again the JSON data type. So we need our ID like over in here, and then just the object of copy, the object, yeah, just no quotes here, no double quotes, just the object itself. And now it has to delete the have a breakfast. Okay, and let's check this out. Okay, so we left ourselves without a breakfast, so just morning exercises and go check up email after and all the things. Well, maybe not the best option here, but still it works. Well, maybe we would add a couple more functions like methods, like to change the task or something like that. I don't know yet those details, but for now this is the bare bones database we actually need to interact with. Well, and please remember, if we wouldn't ever create this entries in our database, then in the time while we would be calling this database from our web application, it's not supposed to work saying something like empty collection or error like that. So here I just exit the database. Oh, okay, just one last thing. Actually, I forgot one last thing. Let's show databases one more time. And as you can see, the to-do list has appeared on the list of the available databases. So that's the particular database we're supposed to deal with. And it's located, the server is running at localhost slash 21017. Well, that's the default port, the port 21017. So that's actually quite important. But in case of, while we have this particular name for the database, we would be using the mongoose. We don't really need to specify the port. Instead, we would be using the name of the database itself. Okay, and now it's actually time to create a new project for our web application. It would consist of two parts. Oh my goodness, what the hell is that? Just sorry for this, guys. Oh, yeah, I've hit the desktop settings. Okay, and let's call the folder to-do-list. And our application is going to consist of two major parts: the backend using Nodejs, expressjs, and Mongo database interaction, and the front end. I'm not sure about what the particular framework is about to be used as the front end. Well, maybe this would be AngularJS, I don't know yet, but still it doesn't matter for now. As far as our purpose, this particular point is actually to manage to interact with our database from the web application we're supposed to create. So the first thing to consider actually is we have to initialize our node package manager just to create a new project, and here he asks for the project, for the name for this particular project, to-do list. Well, that's just fine. Version, okay. Description, well, let's add here simple Todoist, like that. Entry point, we will be using app.js, okay. Test command, well, we just leave this. Git repo, well, this is not needed. Author, well, I could have actually put there code monkey keen, well, but okay. Is this okay? Yes, okay. Well, doesn't matter really. Yeah, maybe just micro package.json. Well, that's really not needed for the functionality, but just to make it a bit prettier, let's make a code monkey keen here. Code monkey keen. Save and quit. And another useful thing we would like to have also is the node mount. The tool is a very handy tool that helps us not to reload the server each time we make a tiny little change in our source code. So npm install node mount. Well, maybe I don't know whether the sudo is needed here, but just to make sure everything works just fine. Well, by the way, it has to install the nodemon locally, but not globally. You have to specify the -g option in order to install something globally with node package manager. Well, but still sudo is needed sometimes. I don't know what's the reason for that actually. Okay, so so he did install this, and now I run packages again, and as here you can see we have our kind of dependency list over here, and also some scripts for the node mount to run. So we would actually use two scripts here. The first would be called start, and this would be something like a production mode, and here we'll use the command node app. And then another one for the debugging purposes called as, say, developer version, and here we would be using actually our nodemon app, and this helps not to restart the server each time and not to kill the port, and well, get rid of all of that pain. Okay, and now we would need some dependencies here. So the first for sure is express, and we want the latest version available. This little star here is just for the latest version. Okay, we would also need the thing called body parser. Well, just 1 minute, guys. I forgot how that body parser actually is written. I'll have a look at my cheat sheet here. Sorry, it's not that. Packages. I'm just sorry for this, guys. I had to learn this by heart. I actually didn't. Okay, body parser, the dash here. Okay, body express and mongoose. Okay, so just close this. Okay, body parser. We want also the latest version, and also we need the mongoose, a tool that helps us to interact with our database from our web application. Okay, save, and now I have to perform sudo npm install, and he has to install the dependencies. Okay, what's going on here? Body parser failed to parse. Okay, something wrong. Probably some syntax mistake here. Okay, let's see. Okay, the dependence. Oh, okay, yeah. Here, colon has to be here. Sorry for this inconvenience. Okay, now it has to run. Oh, okay. Now it has to just gonna work correctly. Okay, and Node Package Manager is now installing the dependencies for our projects. You see he has created this node module folder here containing all the dependencies, and well, it says that everything is actually just fine. And now let's create the heart of our application called app.js and do the bare minimum stuff in order to run our server, and this would be it for this video after. Okay, so the first thing is actually we have to import modules. Okay, so const, well, you could have used here actually var, just variable, but as far as they're actually constants, so the better practice is just to use the const keyword. So const express is equal require express. Well, you could have used node node package manager express generator that does this app.js file for you automatically, but when you learn things, it's better to do everything by hands. For in that case, you'll have the particular understanding of what you are actually doing, and that's really cool, I believe. So now let's import some body parser, and the body parser is a module that is needed in order to work with the JSON data. So as you have already seen, our database, Mongo database, is dealing with a JSON file format, and so the body parser is needed exactly to use this sort of data in order to interact with Mongo database. So the next thing is mongoose, our hook to Mongo database. So it's require mongoose. Okay, and now, well, probably it's time to start some initializations. Okay, so let's create our main app variable. So app is equal to express. So app becomes the most main object in the program here, returned by the express method over here. And now we want our app to use some body parser, and this actually makes use of the body parser module. So .json, here we specify the format for the body parser to deal with. Okay, and the last thing here apparently would be to initialize mongoose connect. What is cool thing about the mongoose is you actually can specify things like this. So we say the Mongo database, and then 2 slashes localhost, and then use TODO-list. So that's actually the name, the particular name of our database. Yeah. So this is it probably for the initialization. Oh, okay, and maybe just one more thing here. So let's define the database variable. Okay, it would be equal to mongoose.connection. So something like this. Okay, let me just check the things out if everything is clear. Okay. Okay, now let's set up the port. Set up the port here. So the port variable is equal to process environment port, and this particular line is needed in order when, in the case if you deploy your project somewhere, there might be already predefined port number to host your web application. Well, if not, then you can define this manually by itself for the 5000, which is the default value here. And the last thing is actually we want app listen to our port, and maybe just we could have had a little arrow function here. If you are not familiar with this sort of function declaration, please Google for JavaScript arrow function declarations, and you'll get clear about what is this. It's just a short way to do things. And now we want to console.log. Well, I hope everything is correct here. And now back quotes and server started on port, and now using our port variable. Well, okay, I hope this just works correctly here. And probably the one last thing to consider here is actually to see something in the browser. When we go to the localhost 5000 port, we need to well, just probably print something hello world like. So let's make a simple route here. So apt-get, so in case of our home page, so this little slash stands for the home page. And now another arrow function with our arguments request and response. This is pretty standard for the Express framework. And now response.send, and well, let's say use API, well, maybe just localhost 5000's API, well, and basically tasks. We're gonna look at the tasks. So this is just the message to print for now, and I hold my breath and try to run this and see what actually happens after. So npm run, we want the developer script here, so in order to start, actually, okay, Mogoose, yes, it's mongoose instead. Okay, so we don't need this window anymore. Mongoose, save, try it one more time. Okay, now he is just fine. And see the beauty of NodeMon, so he has restarted the server automatically. Now he just says that server started on port 5000, and that's just great. And now the last thing to do, we could have actually close all of these tabs, not necessarily now to have them anymore, and minimize the window a bit and go to the local host. And here we have our message, so it's like a hello world, and we would be using actually localhost 5000's API/tasks in order to deal with our database. Well guys, this is it for this video, and the next video we actually are gonna start our interaction with the database. So until the next video, and take care.